right, well, good afternoon, everyone. It's about 2 past the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I did want to bring to your attention that we will be recording this as well as any questions that are asked, so it can be posted in the future for anybody who wasn't able to join us this afternoon. So welcome. I'm Tammy Brown. I'm a senior policy advisor with the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and I have the privileged to oversee our Smart Prosecution Innovative Prosecution Solutions Grant Program, which is our kind of broadest overarching grant program that we offer to local prosecutors. And, something that I hope you all, if you haven't within your offices, take advantage of and consider applying after this webinar. You will look into the application and hopefully apply. It's a great opportunity. Not only does it provide you with grant funding, but it also provides you with opportunity to become part of our kind of overarching community of practice with other prosecutors' offices that have been a part of the program. So we offer opportunities for you to learn from them and learn from one another, and also provide training and technical assistance through our provider, who is Equitas. I'm joined today with John Wilkinson, who is from Equitas, and you'll be hearing from him later in the webinar, as well as my colleague Meredith Healy, who is also my programs coordinator that can help you address or answer any questions as far as administratively how you apply, and if you have any issues with just grants or any questions as it relates to technical considerations, or if you are fortunate enough to become a grantee, she also assists our grantees with any changes within their budgets or any other administrative pieces. So with that, we're just going to go ahead and get started and give you a little bit more information about this solicitation and the opportunities within this grant program. So the goal of this program is really to provide prosecutors and your agencies with funding to incorporate innovative practices or evidence-based practices and strategies that your offices can deploy. Now, with that, we also recognize that prosecutors' offices are, sometimes underfunded in, technical support or processing or case management. So to the extent that those are needs within your office that can help you do more innovative work outside of just case processing, those would also be allowable type expenses that you could incorporate into a project that you are proposing as part of your application. So some of the objectives, obviously, the main focus is also helping you all combat violent crime, and prevent and respond to crime. Sorry, this is sensitive and advancing. So some of the things that we've had funding for other prosecutors' offices, whether it's hiring new prosecutors, whether it's some kind of program that formalizes a collaboration among external agencies, as well as the community you serve. It could be for technology that could enhance intelligence or the way that you collect data. We know that some offices have had an increasing interest in being able to be more transparent with the public and the community they serve on how their office is operating and having some public-facing data. Also creating efficiencies with your offices that help you not just process crimes or cases faster, but also kind of give you that flexibility to create other things within your offices that may either help you reduce your caseloads or divert low-level cases to help you focus on more violent strategies, and also really just any other kind of analytical or staff support that could help improve the way your offices function. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Meredith, and she's going to kind of cover the available funding, the eligibility requirements, and then some priorities that we will be considering within this solicitation. Meredith?
Hello, everyone. I'm Meredith Healy. If you have any questions or you need any help with like the rules and regulations, just grants, however I can be of help, please feel free to reach out. Um, just getting down to the nitty gritty on the award, the available funding this year is going to be 3 to 5 million. And then we're going to be funding state and local prosecutorial agencies, federally recognized Native American tribal governments that perform prosecution functions, and tribal consortia consisting of 2 or more federally recognized Indian tribes, acting as a fiscal agent for 1 or more prosecutor agencies. If you have questions about that, please let me know. The specific application information that we have for BGA submissions, please take note of these due dates. They can be known to change, but these are pretty much set in stone. So please take note of those. The original duration period is going to be 24 months. The total application funding is going to be $350,000. We will be awarding 8 to 14 applications, and a match is not required for this one. Okay, so please, like I said again, take note that the due date in just into grants.gov is April 29th, and the just grants is May 6th. And you can find information about the award on that link. The priority areas, as Tammy briefly mentioned before, are going to be applications for proposed projects that are designed to meaningfully advance equity and remove barriers to accessing services and opportunities for communities that have been historically underserved, marginalized, adversely affected by inequality and disproportionately impacted by crime, violence, and victimization. The other main priority area is applicants that demonstrate that their capabilities and companies for implementing their proposed projects are enhanced because they, or at least proposed subrecipient that will receive at least 40% of the requested award funding, as demonstrated in the budget web-based form, are a population specific organization that serves communities that have been historically underserved, marginalized, adversely affected by inequality, and disproportionately impacted by crime and violence and victimization. If you need any help with that, again, please reach out. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. This is the website for Equitas, so I'm passing to John.
So guys, you can check out our website. Also in the solicitation, the link, we will send you the these materials, but the link in the PowerPoint to the solicitation online, there's a link in there to this website where you can look at what other previous awardees who have won the competition of awards and were given a grant, what their projects were about. Your project doesn't have to match those, but it just gives you an idea of what a successful application looks like, how they stated the problem that they were trying to address, and then their strategy to go at that problem. And there's a variety of them, from specific crime strategies to folks that updated their case management system, or were using data, collecting data in an interesting way, or adding personnel, things like that. And you can also see, since Equitas has been, I think the Smart Prosecution has existed since about 2014. We have been managing since 2016 or 2017 rather. And so from 2016 on, there are profiles of what the different sites did. There's other resources that we have, including case studies that we've put together, resources related to prosecution. Our partner agencies that we work with are also on there, and things that they've done, and just different events. If we have a training coming up on a related topic, you can find all that information on that website.
Are you able? There we go. Okay. So these are just some of the examples of various proposals that we've received in the past that we've been able to fund. So you can see some of them relate to innovative ways to prosecute firearm offenses. Some of them have proposed to have dedicated prosecutors within their police department's crime gun intelligence centers, social media and investigations and social media analysts. We've also fund analysts, crime analysts within prosecutors' offices to help with investigative processes and work with the police earlier on within their cases. We've had some innovative prosecutions of women, violence against women crimes, domestic violence, diversion programs, opioid-related crimes. So whether that's investigating opioid-induced homicides or finding ways to divert individuals that may have been convicted of some drug-related crimes. Multi-prong approaches. So again, just really being able to screen cases and streamline the way that that your office handles them and prioritizes them. And that also lends to the case management software. So to the extent, like I indicated before, if your office doesn't have a pretty robust or any case management software that helps you kind of fill those needs. And then obviously you can use the grant funds for personnel, technology. One of the more recent applications that we've seen as it relates to kind of how you manage discovery as it relates to body worn cameras and getting that evidence and being able to kind of comb through it. Some offices have stood up digital discovery units where they're then screening it for the attorneys and kind of just passing on pertinent information and being able to organize it for them. That also relates to any other kind of technology improvements or information sharing. So we recognize that there's, you know, deficiencies in your offices being able to communicate with police departments and the courts and, you know, being on one system. So we've been able to help prosecutors, you know, develop either software or find ways to have that interconnectivity. So that's just to mention a few. You know, we are always looking for new and innovative approaches that we can share with the field and that we can help support. So I just really encourage you to look at these opportunities, look at some of the previous funded applications, and you know, be creative in what you're proposing. So with that, I'll hand it back to John, and they're going to talk a little bit more about the resources that Equitas provides. They also have a research partner, which is RTI International. We have McGarry Associations and then the Prosecutor Center for Excellence. So we really pride ourselves on having our training and technical assistance partners also bring on subject matter experts. So both McGarry Associations and Prosecutors for Center of Excellence are, you know, former DAs and U.S. attorneys and individuals that have worked in the field, that understand your challenges, and have been organizations that they have stood up to bring prosecutors together and talk about pertinent issues within the field. So it's an awesome cohort of people. And even if you are not selected to be a grantee, I would encourage you to go onto Equitas's website, because you would still be eligible to participate in some of these forums and webinars and other training opportunities that we provide them to give to the field, even outside of our grantees. So John, do you want to talk a little bit more about your technical assistance that you guys offer directly?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Tammy. And BJA is a great partner too with Tammy and Meredith. We just get great information that we share with the field. They know everything that's not everything, right, but everything that's going on with different TA providers or different interesting trainings or presentations or resources that are out there. And so we regularly share those with the field and keep in close touch with those guys on this project. So we try, and our role on this, we're the training and technical assistance lead with our partners, RTI and McGarry and Associates and Prosecutor Center for Excellence. And our role is really to just make sure that you're successful in your grant, or to help you be as successful as possible in your grant. And so we assist with grant management. Meredith really is a huge asset in that. So anytime you have a question, you can reach out to Meredith. You can reach out to us. We know some of the answers. Meredith knows all the answers. So you can reach out to her. We do action planning with all the sites. So if you get an award, one of the first things we're going to do is get together and figure out, here's what you said you did in your narrative, your application. Are you still able to do this? And how are we going to go about doing it? And just mapping out, these are the objectives. These are the things that we said we were going to do. Can we still do these? And here's how we're going to do them. And who's the responsible party for it? RTI, our research partner, is a huge asset in doing the action planning, because they really are helpful. They understand how action planning works. They'll help us create logic models so that you're doing the things that you're doing make sense and they're achieving a goal. And they also really help us with identifying metrics, realistic, real world metrics that can tell us if we're being successful. Is this project having the intended impact that we set out to do? And so, your project, you might say something like, oh, we're going to reduce gun crime by 10% in our jurisdiction. Is that a real world thing to do? Or are you going to have an impact on gun crime that's positive? And are there other things that might indicate that that is the case, beyond just a crime rate that can be affected by many other factors outside of your control? So they're super helpful in that. We also do monthly calls, at least for the first year. We just jump on a call each month to find out how things are going. How are you progressing? Do you need any help? Is there anything we can help you with, either with grant management or with substantive training, technical assistance? As Tammy mentioned, we have a subject matter expert database. So there's lots of folks. We have some in-house expertise. Our partners have in-house expertise, but we don't know everything. So sometimes we reach out to others to help. So you can reach out to us with any question. And as Tammy mentioned, you don't have to be a grantee to reach out to Equitas for help on these areas. We are happy to try and help you out with whatever your issue is, whether you get a grant or not. Most of the folks that reach out are grantees, but we have those monthly calls. And we also do site assessments. Is there specific things that, based on your project, you're going to need help with, and how can we provide that help? So when we do action planning, we also figure out what's the capacity of your office to do this project, and how can we support the work that you're doing. And we'll create what we call a TTA plan, a training and technical assistance plan, that incorporates the different things we identify when we assess your site's ability to carry out the grant proposal. We do a lot of training for our partners. Virtual, we'll do national webinars. We've got one coming up Thursday on identifying prolific offenders in the community that are driving crime from our Cleveland IPS site. So they've done a lot of good work. They have a research partner. You can have a research partner on your grant. That is a great asset. Research partners really help us move the ball, understand data, understand how we might be impacting the problem that we set out to solve. And they are also great at helping create a proposal, a narrative that makes sense in how we're going after a particular crime. So many of our prior sites have had a research partner. You don't have to have a research partner, but I always think that's a value add. So think about that as you're going through this. We do training for individual sites as well. We can come out in person, or we can do it virtually. And if a site needed a particular training, lots of our sites have projects focused on domestic violence, sexual violence, human trafficking, fatal and non-fatal shootings, things like that. And so we can put together trainings that are just for your site, incorporates the law in your jurisdiction, and goes over whatever it is that you guys are requesting. And they're tailored to be either discipline specific for your office, or it could be a multidisciplinary audience because you're partnering on your grant with police or a community-based agency, or advocates within your office, or whoever it might be. And we work with those subject matter experts in this area as well. So you can always ask us about training or assistance on any topic, and we will work with BJA to make sure that you get the assistance that you need. And often, because Tammy has been doing this so long, she just knows about things that already exist. We don't, oh, we don't have to recreate the wheel, or these guys have already done that, or this is the go-to expert in this area. And we know some of those folks as well. We keep a list of them going. So we also do a lot of research for our sites, particularly legal research. So if you have a particular issue that's popping up that you wanted research on, we've had different sites request legal research on different areas. In a domestic violence capacity, you might need to be trying cases without your victim. So how do we go forward without the victim? What does our jurisdiction laws allow? Do we have good case law on forfeiture by wrongdoing, which is the legal theory that says if the offender did something to make a witness unavailable, that witness's statements can come into evidence. So we'll do legal research along those lines. And we have nationwide legal surveys related to different types of laws, and we can share those immediately. But if you need some specific research, or you just have a difficult case coming up that might be related to your grant project or unrelated, frankly, you can reach out to us and we will do the legal research. Anything, you guys are super busy as active prosecutors, anything we can take off your plate, that's what we're here to do. So we do a lot of that legal research and analysis. A lot of projects require some social science research. We'll often rely on our research partner at RTI to help with that. And we also do social science research. One of the sites that was doing an opioid-related project asked for some assistance related to harm reduction approaches to opioids. And so we put together a lot of literature and resources that existed on a harm reduction approach to those crimes. And so any kind of social science research, you can ask us to help with that as well. We also do case level strategies. So it could be you've got a difficult case. What are the motions that you might need? Can we support a brief helping to argue that case? Is there a charging strategy in particular that you might need help with? We're happy to help with those things. It could be an office level strategy about how we're refining policies, assessing a need in the office, assessing the office. We can help with office level assessments as well. And we also do peer-to-peer exchanges. So a lot of our projects are similar. Different sites either in the past have worked on a particular project and then a new site is working on it, and we can connect those sites. So again, anything to avoid reinventing the wheel or learning from things that other sites have already tried and had some valuable lessons learned during the process, we'll connect you with that. Sometimes we connect multiple sites. We did a peer-to-peer exchange with several sites that were updating their case management systems and just going through some of the things, heads up, pitfalls, lessons learned, how you get your office ready for that kind of change management. We have a written resource on that. So things like that can help when we are able to connect different offices with each other. So just sort of a direct learning process there. Again, we have our subject matter experts. There's a database that we keep on a variety of topics. You can visit our website for the full list, or you can request it if you want just to see the different areas that we have some expertise that we reach out to regularly. And if you don't see something on there, you can always just email us. We'll connect with Tammy regularly on things. So-and-so's looking for some help in this area. And we don't have the answer to everything, but we usually know somebody who does have the answer. So you feel free to reach out to us about that anytime you need. And then there's also, if you need some assistance on evaluating what you're doing, RTI, again, our research partner, is really helpful. They won't be your research partner, but they will help you identify how to do this data collection and analysis and manage that effort. And so they can do a lot of great work to figure out what do we need as far as an evaluation of our project. What should we be collecting? What should we be looking at? Sometimes it comes down to, hey, are we interviewing the key people who are working in this area to see if this project is going the way it should, to see if things have improved? So there's quantitative data and analysis, and then there's qualitative data and analysis. And RTI can help you develop your plan with respect to both of those, because the numbers don't always tell the story, right? You might be doing a project that's focusing on drug trafficking, and you're not seeing the case numbers go down, even though you've deployed this new strategy. But when you talk to the individuals who are working in that area, they tell you, no, things have gotten much better. We are getting some of these traffickers out of the way, and that their drugs are not getting. We're seeing a reduction in deaths or overdoses, things like that. So we can look at all of those different things. We can work with you on process metrics, performance metrics, and outcome metrics. The project is 2 years, so sometimes it's tough to do an outcome analysis, but hopefully we can do some other analyses to see how it's going at the point where we're at when we're doing that analysis. We also work with different softwares, and not that we ever endorse a product, but we can help people if they're trying to accomplish a particular goal. There might be an existing software. If you're doing criminal justice information sharing or something else, software may already exist, and we can point you in the right direction, or at least put you onto things you should be considering when you are looking for something new along those lines. So that's what we're here for, to help you guys with on this grant project. And again, that's what we're here for, is just to help you be successful. We've put a few things in the chat related to the Smart Prosecution program. There's the solicitation, our IPS website, and a link to the past and current projects if anybody is interested in looking at those. So that's a quick rundown of what we do on Smart Prosecution. If anybody has any questions, issues, comments, anything they wanted to know, you can unmute yourself and shout out. You can chat them if you prefer. Whatever you would like to do. We ran through a good bit of information pretty quickly, but we're happy to answer any questions.
We posted the link to the actual solicitation in the chat, but if you go to our website that's listed there, just the www.bja.gov, you just go to funding opportunities and you'll find it there. But I would also encourage you to go to our homepage, because you can sign up, and if you sign up, you'll get an email every time a new solicitation is posted. And I would encourage you, even if on its face it doesn't look like prosecutors are eligible, there might be creative ways that you could partner with either your law enforcement agencies or other opportunities that you may look. For example, we have a pretty large solicitation as it relates to opioids, and prosecutors are eligible to apply. And if you look at the amount of money available and the number of grants that we're going to be funding, I mean, obviously, the more money we have, the more we'll be able to fund, the more likelihood, whatever submitted is going to get funding. So if that also gives you just some quick pointers on, the availability. Another great example is like our body worn camera. It used to just be specifically for law enforcement, but recognizing that now prosecutors are having to deal with this data and manage it, and there's a lot of digital evidence, there's a carve out specifically for prosecutors. So again, I would just encourage you to sign up, get the information, and then look at the solicitations and be creative on ways that you might be able to partner with your criminal justice agencies, and they can also subaward to you all. So if there are ones that are just for law enforcement, they could also, if they're partnering with you to prosecute, the Crime Gun Intelligence Center grant is one example of that they could subaward for you all to have a designated prosecutor to assist with that project. All right, did we have some questions in the chat?
Yeah, there's a couple questions, and C also posted the BJA website link, so that's also in your chat. The first question is this an annual funding opportunity?
So this We have funded it almost every year. It used to be a line item in the congressional budget. It is not any longer. It's something that we're fighting to get put back in. But my office recognizes that funding for prosecutors is a priority. So we've taken some of our discretionary funds and made this solicitation continue to be available. So I advocate for it within my office very heavily. And will continue to do so. And, you know, to date, there's been great support with our existing leadership.
The second question, who would be the person to help with access to workspace? And I'm not 100% sure what that question is referencing.
You mean being able to access the Just Grant system or grants.gov to sign up? Okay, so Meredith, are you able to handle that question? It would probably be Meredith and her contacts. Go ahead, Meredith.
Yes. Rebecca, if you would like to email me and we can set up a time to talk and we can look at grants.gov and Just Grants if that's what you're speaking about.
Okay, we got another question. Should we be identifying research partners on the front end of with this deadline at the end of the month, or can that be developed in the coming months after the deadline?
I mean, ideally, we would want you to identify them in advance, just so we can, you know, show that there's also support. But to the extent that you aren't able to do that, you know, you could write in a portion in your budget and say that you are interested in working with a research, you know, partner and maybe list some potential prospects. But you know, again, ideally, we want to see the buy-in from the researcher that they're available and they're able, but we have certainly, you know, funded them just based on, you know, anecdotal, being able to find one. And, you know, we can, John's team and us can help you do that if you're successful in getting the grant. And again, it's not a requirement. It's just, you know, something that we think is important to be able to really kind of evaluate and identify what the best practice is for the field. But we also recognize that a lot of the projects being proposed don't necessarily lend themselves to research.
What about paralegals that work with prosecutors?
Yep. So absolutely. I mean, any really personnel is an allowable expense within your budget. You would just want to make sure you articulate within your proposal how that individual is going to help advance whatever it is that you are proposing. I mean, if you're just proposing to hire a paralegal just to help with generic case processing and general everyday kind of aspects of the office, that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for, you know, things that are a little bit more innovative, but to the extent that you have a project and in order to take something off somebody else's plate, that they're going to help, you know, manage X, Y, and Z. So it frees up this attorney to then create this diversion program or help screen or whatever the circumstances is. But we would be looking for them to play some kind of role in, you know, other than day-to-day operations, if that makes sense.
Can funds be used for a victim witness services and prosecutor collaboration project?
Yeah, so we certainly under this solicitation and program encourage collaborations. And we don't, you know, that we have whole agencies that do just fund victim services projects, but to the extent that, again, it's innovative and doing something different other than just kind of what you're currently doing. We have funded those in the past, but I would also, for those proposals, encourage you to look at our, you know, the victims related agencies that, I don't know, can we put some of those links in the chat for OVW and victims of crimes?
OVC.
OVC, yeah, I don't know if you can find those on the whim, but I would also encourage you to, I mean, and same with juveniles, because we have an entire department that focuses on funding for juvenile related projects. I would also encourage you, if you're looking for a proposal around juveniles, to look at some of the resources with the Department of Juvenile Justice.
And it looks like C has already put several links in along those
Yes,
lines.
thank you, C.
Way ahead of me. I would never have been able to do that. Beth McGarry of McGarry and Associates, who's one of our TTA partners, just chimed in with some sensible thinking, because sometimes it gets complicated, but it really is sensible. As you prepare your application, my suggestion is to read the solicitation carefully and provide all the requested information. You don't want to get, they get scored, and you don't want to lose points because you left something out. So I think that's really just good advice up front.
And within this solicitation, there's a checklist as part of the attachment. So I would encourage you to look at that checklist. Now, we have basic minimum requirements, and if you meet the basic minimum requirements, your application will still get reviewed. But Beth makes a good point. Just to explain our process a little bit, once the applications are submitted, we contract with subject matter experts, so they're existing prosecutor, former prosecutors, investigators, or individuals that have worked in close collaboration with their prosecution agencies, and different former judges, different experts within the field. And then we give them the application to go through our peer review process. They read them, they will score them, and then they will tier them, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and then that's what's provided to me. And then I look through. In order for me to fund a tier 2 or tier 3, I have to justify why I'm not funding whichever one I'm bypassing in tier 1. So it's intended to be a fair process, and in a process that we utilize subject matter experts to weigh in. But part of what they're looking at is, the checklist and the required things listed within the solicitation to ensure that you're being responsive, and to the extent that if you're proposing to work with another agency or subcontract with somebody or have a research partner, I would also encourage you, if you can, to get letters of support, because that is another factor that they want to look at to ensure that you're going to be successful. And then the other thing that I think, holds a lot of weight is to ensure that your budget really mirrors what it is that you're proposing and supports what you're proposing. So, I mean, I've gotten applications where, you're proposing a diversion program, but then it's just a list of kind of various supplies or things that would be used in everyday course of business. So you really want to make sure what you're putting to fund in your budget supports whatever it is your proposal or project is.
All right, next question. Is a prosecutor's office eligible for this grant if they are already receiving funding through a Burn JAG subaward?
Yes, absolutely. The Burn JAG is separate and aside from this. Now, if you've received a Smart Prosecution, Innovative Prosecution Solution, this particular grant before, that's a consideration. If we have other applicants that have not received funding, I mean, you are still eligible to apply, but, if you're receiving another grant through my office, that is not taken. And I mean, you can't propose to fund the same thing, but you could say you had funding through JAG and you started a program and you want to take it to the next level, or you want to enhance it. That would be something that you could propose, but you couldn't just, we wouldn't fund the same project under 2 grant programs. But, if you have other projects that are being funded through other grant funds through us, that wouldn't impact your ability to be successful in getting this grant.
Next one, is it $350,000 for 24 months in total?
Correct. So in the budget, you'll see that the formatting has you break it down from year 1 and year 2. But the total possible amount that you'll be granted is 350,000. We do on occasion give extensions. So even though your budget would be and your proposal would be limited to 2 years, typically if for some reason you're not able to spend it down within the 2 years, we would consider what we call a no cost extension. So the majority of them end up typically being 3 years if they can't spend down the money, but your budget and what you're looking at through the course is 350 for 2 years for the application.
That's all the questions I see so far. Don't know if you had any other questions. Now's your time to ask them.
Or feel free to email us. That is my cell number listed. If you have questions, I'm happy to have people reach out informally. As long as I'm not on a Zoom or another phone call, I will answer.
Hi, John and Tammy. I have a quick question if you have a moment.
Sure.
Sure. Is that Laura?
Yes, this is Laura. I'm calling in from the Fairfax Commonwealth's Attorney in Virginia. With this, for this solicitation, we're hoping to expand a diversion program that we already have that's run primarily through a community nonprofit. So they would be like our sub-grantee. I'm wondering if there are additional things we need to apply since things we need to include in the application because of that relationship, besides just making it clear in the budget.
So one of the things listed in the budget will be the subaward, and then I would encourage you to get a letter of support from them.
Yep.
And then within your narrative, kind of explain, what their role is. And then if you were successful in receiving the grant, subsequently, you would be required to submit some kind of verification on how you're going to manage and kind of verify the money you're providing them. But that's not until after and if you're awarded.
Okay, thank you. Very helpful.
If you have any questions about a subrecipient monitoring policy, feel free to reach out.
Anybody else?
If I could offer a 2 cents, my suggestion above and beyond what everyone has said is for the budget, please review the financial guide and take a look at that to review prohibited cost, because that will be counted against you if you have that in the budget, or you will be asked to change it if it is a project that we are interested in.
Yeah, so some of the prohibitive things, like we're not allowed to fund any, food, beverages, no drones. Typically vehicles are a difficult thing. I mean, we have funded them in the past, but it's been for very, very specific things. Can you think of other ones off the top of your head, Meredith?
Well, not that we would do it for this one, but certain types of firearms, bullets,
Right.
explosives, things like that. We're not buying any tanks. But if just look at the different the one that is I see a lot with this one is promotional items. We do not do promotional items. So if you're planning on doing anything like pens or tchotchkes to hand out, that's going to be probably a no.
Good to know.
I have a question about, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm working with several different offices in different states that are interested in pursuing a project in all their offices. One of the offices has before been a grantee of the Innovative Prosecutor Solutions, the Smart Prosecution grant. The other hasn't. But we were thinking of, even though, I guess my question is, how strong is the preference for offices that have not yet received a Smart Prosecution grant? Because the office that has before, it has the staff and the knowledge about how to put together the application and the administrative experience. but they would just be one of 2 to 3 offices, others of which have never received a grant from BJA before.
Yeah,
Do you
I mean,
have
I
any-
think it's fine to include them. I mean, and as long as it's something that is going to benefit additional agencies and, you know, it's more so the, you know, direct funding for the ones that have already received direct funding solely.
Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. If there's nothing else, Tammy, did you want to
Yeah,
have?
I mean, just if, you know, as you're drafting your application, I mean, obviously we can't help with that part of the process, but like if there's things you're wondering are, you know, prohibited or, you know, you have questions, you know, similar to Rebecca's that come up, please feel free to reach out to myself or Meredith and, you know, we'll be happy to respond.
All right. If there's nothing else, thanks everybody for attending. This recorded webinar will be posted online in the next several days. And then you have our contact information. If you need any help, please reach out. And hopefully some of you will apply and we'll be working with you next year, starting in October. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Thank you, Meredith.
Bye, guys.
You everyone.